Hey everyone, Gill Gross here, and it is time to predict the final Manic Monday in the history of Wimbledon here in 2021. Oh man, I'm going to miss this a lot. I think it's the logical decision that they're axing the middle Sunday break. I mean, economically, it is probably the worst thing in all of sports, the most archaic thing you can do is to stop your event on Sunday when people are not working, when people are sitting at home and wanting sports to watch on TV on a Sunday, and the biggest tournament in all of tennis arguably grinds to a halt. That doesn't make much sense. It's gone. But I will say it has made for the greatest day in all of tennis, probably. Manic Monday at Wimbledon. We get to cherish it one last time. So let's pick these matches. Let's go. Here's what the Djokovic section looks like right now. It's Djokovic, Garin, Fucsovics, and Rublev. All right, here we go. We will start with Novak Djokovic has gone through Jack Draper, Kevin Anderson, and Denis Kudla. He's looking emotionally engaged in every single match from start to finish. And I think that's a matter of just learning from 2016, keeping that experience in mind, not wanting that to happen again, and not letting it happen again. There's absolutely no let-up in Novak Djokovic right now. The game is clean, the serving is great, and the movement is getting better as this grass begins to dry up. Cristian Garin, the Chilean, has gone through Zapata Miralles, Mark Palmans, and Pedro Martinez. None of those opponents are in the top 100. It is by far the softest section of the draw, yet Garin needed 5 sets in his opening 2 matchups and 4 sets in the latest against Martinez. He's 0-4 in his career against top 50 players on grass. He's 2-8 in his career against top 10 opponents, with both of those wins coming on clay. I have not been impressed with Garin's ability to rise to the occasion outside of his most comfortable conditions, which is generally South American clay, high-altitude clay. This is not that. Garin should really struggle backhand to backhand against Djokovic. In my opinion, this is a total mismatch, and I expect Novak to grab a breadstick or a bagel in at least one of these sets. Rublev Fucsovics. Rublev has beaten Federico Delbonis, Lloyd Harris, and Fabio Fognini. Fucsovics has beaten Sinner, Liam Brody, and Diego Schwartzman on the way to the round of 16. Man, I just want to shout out Martin Fucsovics. He's now made the round of 16 in 3 out of the 4 majors, and this is why he has earned the title of Monday Match Analysis's favorite dark horse. Although I actually didn't pick him for the dark horse here, I just didn't quite think the grass would suit him, but he proved me wrong, sort of. He sort of proved me wrong, because if you look at the draw, the one thing that he really hasn't faced is anyone with the big serve, which is kind of the difficult thing normally to deal with on grass. He faces Jannik Sinner, Liam Brody, Diego Schwartzman. All of those players are real baseliners that just don't have the serve. And now he'll be tested in a way that is obviously a big step up against Andrei Rublev. In the month of March, these two faced off 3 times. And after the second time, when Fucsovics lost, he came to the net, he shook Andrei's hand, and he kind of laughed. He said, "I hope I don't play you again. This is getting ridiculous." Well, they played again, and Rublev won in the most straightforward fashion we've seen. The last time they played in Miami, it was 6-1, 6-2, or actually other way around, 6-2, 6-1 for Andrei Rublev. The head-to-head is actually 4-2. The Hungarian won their first 2 meetings, both on clay. Then he won the first set at Roland Garros in 2019. But then Rublev won the next 3 sets, and since then, Fucsovics has not won a set. The Hungarian's backhand, in my opinion, is the big problem in this matchup. It just doesn't hold up against Rublev's constant pounding of that side. And I also think Rublev's attacking forehand is a lot more consistent than Fucsovic's. And in this tournament in particular, again, he's just the biggest server that Fucsovics has seen. So I'm picking the Russian to continue his winning ways in this matchup. I think his best chance, Martin's best chance to reverse the horrors of this head-to-head will be clay. Moving on to the next section, I have professed my love for this section many times. When the draw came out, I professed my love for it. I thought it would be chaotic. I thought it would be crazy, and that is exactly what it has been. With Khachanov and Seb Korda, my dark horse in this quarter before the draw, and Shapovalov and Roberto Bautista Agut. I'm no better than those stadium PA announcers that can't seem to say Shapovalov's name correctly. Khachanov and Korda, obviously massive opportunity for both in this tournament. Garin has beaten Mackenzie McDonald. That was 5 sets. Igor Gerasimov and Francis Tiafoe. I wasn't really expecting this run, I got to be honest, but I have to hand it to Khachanov. He raises his level in the best of 5, really turning into just a consistent 3rd, 4th round guy at the slams, which is fine. I think he had higher expectations for himself, early on in his career, but you gotta give a round of applause for the consistency, really. The Tiafoe result was a very surprising scoreline for me. I expected that to be a highly competitive match, but Khachanov really seems to be doing what he's needed to do for a while, which is serve bigger. He averaged 116 miles per hour on his first serve in that match. He made 70% and won 81% against Tiafoe, and he also averaged triple digits on his second serve, which is very healthy. I think in the past, Khachanov's first serve average speed has been closer to like 112, 113. So 3 mile per hour bump is actually pretty significant, even though it might feel like a small number. Sebastian Korda has defeated Alex de Minaur, Huang, and Dan Evans. Korda's path has gone through 2 definite top 20 players in the field, in my opinion. De Minaur and Dan Evans, I would put both of them in there. His baseline game, but especially his backhand, has been extremely damaging on the grass, and I did make a video 2 days ago about why Sebastian Korda is the future of American tennis. Both of these players play very similar power baseline styles, and there's really no clear edge in serving or returning. So I almost think that these two are kind of versions of themselves, and there's going to be a lot of, not lack of tactics, but just kind of a lot of heavy baseline trading, and just seeing which is the first tree to be chopped down, almost like a game of, when you have the soda can and you flick the top back and forth and you see which one wins. It feels like it's going to be a very kind of straightforward, not a lot of net play, not a lot of creative stuff going on in this match, and that's okay. I do prefer Korda's ball striking, but ultimately this is a really tough one to call. So I'm going to go with the player who I think is more fit if this thing goes deep and goes long, the player who's more physical and just has better fitness, and that's Karen Khachanov, because I have a lot of trouble making the decision in terms of just who might have the edge technically and tactically. So that's why I go to the physical aspect. Karen Khachanov is the pick. Bautista has beaten John Millman, Miomir Kecmanovic, and Dominic Kopfer. It's been a struggle, though, for RBA, which is kind of slightly concerning given the quality of his opponents. All 3 of his matches have been largely baseline battles, and I really don't think that there's a lot of players better than RBA when it comes to baseline exchanges on grass. Meanwhile, Shapovalov has defeated Philip Kohlschreiber. That one took 5 sets, then got a walkover against Pablo Andujar and beat Andy Murray in 3 sets. The performance against Andy Murray is really some of the best tennis I've ever seen the Canadian play, and I do have a video up on that match on the channel. There are arguments for both players in this matchup. RBA is more solid when trading. He keeps the ball deep and he limits errors a lot better than Shapo does. He's also a good absorber of pace, which is crucial against Shapovalov. The arguments for Shapo is if he can choose the right shots like he did against Murray, he'll limit his mistakes, and then the match will swing his way because he has far better firepower, more firepower off the ground, more firepower on serve. the reason I ultimately pick Shapovalov has to do with the baseline directionals. RBA's best shots are his backhand cross court and his runaround forehands. And I just don't think RBA will make much progress on his cross court backhand to Shapovalov's forehand, which means he won't get chances to run around. So when it comes to players against Shapovalov, I look for a great cross-court forehand, and I look for a big serve to bother Shapo's returning, which has been suspect throughout his career. RBA really has neither, so I think it's a comfortable matchup for Shapovalov, and if Denis continues to play as well as he's played, I think he can get through this one. Really looking forward to that match. I think it's going to be a good one. Next quarter, the third quarter, Berrettini against Ilya Ivashka, and Felix Auger-Aliassime against the 4-seed Alexander Zverev. Seeds holding up pretty well in this quarter, except for Ilya Ivashka, another pre-tournament dark horse, and one I'm proud of. Berrettini beat Guido Pella, Van de Zandschulp, and Bedene. It's been a good draw for Matteo, and he's just mowed his opponents down, kind of a continuation of Queens when he's lifted the title. So Berrettini, sky-high confidence, continued. And he just hasn't faced an opponent that is really going to be able to bother the rhythm and the groove that he's in right now. Meanwhile, Ilya Ivashka faced Jaume Munar in the first round, then took on Jeremy Chardy, who's had an excellent 2021, and finally Jordan Thompson, who just absolutely loves playing on the grass, a really good baseliner on the surface. Ivashka is 60th in the live rankings. I expect him to be in the top 50 very soon. He is a much better player than his ranking suggests. An aggressive player with a big serve, someone who takes the ball early and goes down the line often. Neither of these players have really faced anyone like each other. I think Ivashka is the best Matteo has seen. But Berrettini is still my pick with a bigger serve and extremely high confidence under pressure. My biggest question is if he can avoid tie breaks in this match. And if he can, it's a really good sign for him in the future. I will say, of all of the matches that don't feel like toss-ups, of all the matches with kind of the mega favorites, I'd say, are like Medvedev, Berrettini, and Djokovic, and Rublev. I would say this match is one that I could most likely see be a shocker. But I don't make Federer a mega favorite. That's why I don't think he's in there. This is the one that I could most likely see being a shocker of the mega favorites here on Manic Monday. Zverev FAA, Alexander Zverev, it's been a very quiet tournament for him. He's been through Griegspoor, Tennis Sandgren, and Taylor Fritz, which was a close match, but that's kind of par for the course when it comes to this matchup. Fritz was up 2-1 against Zverev at Wimbledon a couple years back, but Zverev looked solid, and he found his way through, used tie breaks. FAA has defeated Montero, Emer, and Kyrgios. I haven't been very impressed, to be honest. The challenge of Emer's defense wasn't handled very well by FAA, and the first set against Kyrgios was really poor. I think that Felix was on track to lose that match if Kyrgios' body did not fail him. Zverev is far superior backhand to backhand, in my opinion, in this matchup, and Sasha's ability to keep balls in the court on his return game is going to require steadiness and consistency for FAA. I just don't know that he's ready to execute that. FAA does have a far better first forehand than Zverev. That's probably his main advantage here, but I don't know if that makes up for Zverev's serve return advantage. I think this one could get ugly. There's going to be a lot of kind of scratchy tennis. We see that in a lot of Zverev's matches, but I see the errors coming off of FAA's racket, not Alexander Zverev. So Zverev is the pick for me here. Our fourth and final quarter is a very interesting one with Federer and Lorenzo Sonego, Hubert Hurkacz, and Daniil Medvedev. 4 seeds. Is that the only one with 4 seeds? I believe it is. Look at that. Beautiful. Federer and Sonego. Roger Federer. He's gone through Adrian Manarino, Richard Gasquet, and Cam Norrie. Each match has been more and more impressive for Federer. He's been much more forceful and much more confident off the ground since that Adrian Manarino match where He was really, his game plan was to slice a lot and to not give Mannarino much pace. But ultimately, you use the slice to get to the hard stuff. And it was the finishing stuff that just was not flowing with the ease and the confidence that Roger Federer needs it to flow with. But it's gotten better and better. And Cam Norrie was an opponent who looked really like he wasn't handling the moment for the opening 2 sets. But then he started to play really good tennis, and Federer played a good 4th set, a confident 4th set, especially at the end there, to grab the break and close things out. Lorenzo Sonego has defeated Pedro Sousa, Galan, and James Duckworth. Look, it's a super weak section that the Italian has come through, but he did make the final of Eastbourne, so you can't really say it's like a fluke that he's gotten this far and that he's not a threat at all and that he doesn't have results that are impressive to kind of back him. He has a really good serve and a big forehand with excellent athleticism. And another thing that's been a clear trend in his career is that he just doesn't shrink in the big matches. Sonego is the best serve that Roger Federer has seen, and Federer's return at times has been a little bit suspect. So that is the key to the match. How will Federer's return respond against the best serve he has seen? I think this could get tough for Roger. I really do. He needs to use his variety to make Sonego uncomfortable. And ultimately, I think Federer will have success getting to the net. I think he'll have success pulling Sonego in on Federer's terms. And Federer can play attacking tennis with much more craft than the Italian's defense can handle, in my opinion. But there's a lot of meat and potatoes to Sonego's game. And Roger is going to need to, again, get better in order to win this match. I think it can get close. Hurkacz and Medvedev. Medvedev has defeated Jan-Lennard Struff, Carlos Alcaraz, and Marin Cilic. He has been tested in a big, big way. Brutal draw for the Russian. He found himself down against Marin Cilic, who was gaining easy control of the points against Medvedev's deep returning position, using kind of safe out wide serves and then just absolutely pummeling forehands into the open court or behind Medvedev, sometimes even getting to the net. But Medvedev found much more consistency off the ground, and Cilic's game absolutely crumbled. Look, Medvedev is a player who puts so many balls in the court and moves so well. So if you don't have confidence off the ground to string together aggressive shots 4 or 5 in a row, you're going to be in trouble. It was the first time that Medvedev came back from down 2 sets to love down. So a really good experience for him that I think can help him in the future. And this is the kind of thing that players, the best players, we saw it with Djokovic at the French Open. These are the kind of thing that the best are able to do. So a good experience for Medvedev. Hurkacz has defeated Musetti, Marcos Giron, and Sasha Bublik. Came into the tournament on a massive losing streak, but I knew that these conditions should suit him. He should be a good grass court player, and it's just good to see him winning some matches because he shouldn't be someone who's going on these massive kind of 6-match losing streaks like we saw. He's the only player in the draw who is yet to drop serve. That will definitely change against Medvedev, in my opinion. He's the best returner by far compared to Bublik, Giron, and Musetti. But this is overall an awkward matchup. Neither player really likes to generate their own pace. And when this is the dynamic, I look for which shot on the court is the most handy, the most confident when it comes to just taking the initiative and finding something special. And for me, that's the Medvedev backhand by far. Both of these forehands can be a little bit tame, and I think just the Medvedev backhand is probably the best baseline shot on the court, the way he can take it down the line aggressively or find the angles cross court despite how flat it is. How will Hurkacz respond to a player who returns and defends as well as Medvedev? In my opinion, I think he's going to get a little bit frustrated with how difficult Daniil Medvedev is to hit through. Again, the weirdness of this matchup does make it kind of interesting, and maybe Hurkacz can serve volley and hit his angled slice serves and get to the net. That's something that Medvedev needs to think about on this surface, because Cilic really did take advantage, and Hurkacz does have good volleys when he comes up. So I don't know. Maybe Hurkacz can find the right game plan and have success. But I think once this thing gets to the baseline game, I don't think Hurkacz brings enough oomph, enough firepower off the ground, which Marin Cilic does. I don't think Hurkacz has that same thing to really hit through Medvedev's defense like Marin Cilic was able to do before it became just a plethora of errors. All right, that is my Manic Monday predictions. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.